Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Hayden Newberry Fishing. I'm out here in the yard taking a break from the house renovations, and it's taking a little bit longer than I expected. I made a video last week or the week before, or whatever, talking about that I was almost to a stopping point, and I feel like I'm actually a little bit closer to a stopping point now, but I ended up having to dive into another whole portion of the renovations, had some holdups, but taking a break today because I couldn't help myself. I had to talk about some of the crazy drama and rules violations and stuff that we've had here recently in professional fishing, and why a lot of it is just absolutely insane, and there's no consistency between all of it, and what fixes I feel like and solutions they can implement so that everybody wouldn't be so confused and just so mad pretty much every time they make a ruling on some of these. So to start out, the one everybody knows about, I'm going to talk about Keith Boucher. That is totally the product of one. At this point, I personally feel like somebody has it out for the guy. I don't understand why he keeps being the center of attention with this stuff. I really think people just don't like that he's running that boat and he's beating them. Last year he won AOI out of that little bitty aluminum boat. And I can tell you, he wasn't jumping levees in all those tournaments. Some of them he was. There was one he was jumping, or not really jumping, but just going through a rock jetty and then jumping into this backwater. Sure, but he beat a lot of people in that thing, fishing in places that everybody else could get to. And this tournament, he jumps over into fishable water, legally fishable water. And again, if you want to say that other people couldn't have got back there, you're wrong. Their boat might have been in a lot worse shape by the time they did. But if you want to run your $100,000 boat over one of those things, go. You can do it. It's gonna break it. It's not gonna look very nice afterwards. But he's just got the equipment, and people don't like that apparently. I'm fine with it. If you want to fish that way, that's awesome, because he could be fishing out 100 miles offshore with the newest technology and stuff, and nobody'd be crying about that. But he has some old technology and jumps across the levee, and everybody's crying about it. Anyway, I think that truthfully is just outright a product of a panel of people that are making tournament disqualification and rules violation decisions that shouldn't be. Truthfully, I don't agree with that decision at all. To me, that one's just an easier one to dissect, really, because they're just wrong. I would be just kind of up in arms if I was him. I don't even know what you do if you get DQ'd for something like that. Some of the other ones that I'm wanting to talk about that go kind of right along with that whole subject are some of these DQs that are just kind of all over the board, and I don't think are rightful. And that's for actual rules violations, because Keith didn't break a rule. They just ruled that he broke a rule, which is crazy. The rules violations that result in major disqualifications that shouldn't be major disqualifications. If you break a rule that doesn't give you an advantage, now that's what I'm wanting to get into. If you break a rule that doesn't give you an advantage in the tournament, I don't care if you break a law. If it doesn't give you an advantage in the tournament, you should not be disqualified. Absolutely not. Especially when it's $100,000 on the line. So we're going to talk about the NPFL disqualification recently, where the winner of the tournament forgot to buy a fishing license and they DQ'd him. What? You are, like, the guy's going to have nightmares the rest of his life because of you guys. Congratulations. What? Why? Do you think that would be the thing he would try to get under? Why? I still just, I don't know what conversations happened and with what people that led to that, but we're gonna just pick through it a little bit here, I guess. He spent more than what that fishing license cost for his first tank of gas on the way to the tournament. His, a couple a couple pieces of tackle, fishing line, anything. Name one thing. Why would that be the thing that he would do? When we're talking about $100,000, you know what you do? You maybe fine him a little bit of money. Maybe you don't fine him at all, because who cares? Maybe you just write him a ticket, and that's his penalty, is that he gets a ticket because he fished without a fishing license. How did that help him in the tournament? That doesn't help you catch fish. Not having a fishing license, did it save him some like astronaut? No. It did nothing. And you guys disqualified the guy that won. That's like possibly like a once in a lifetime thing for a lot of professional fishermen. A lot of people don't win more than once. and he got DQ'd over his fishing license. It's hilarious. Not really, but it's hilarious that that stupid of a ruling happened. And it happens, I guess, just kind of all the time, because we're looking right back at last year, the Trey Swindle incident, where he got disqualified for not having enough insurance. He had insurance, and again, doesn't help you fish. Write him a ticket, something. And that's not even a state law. That was just the fine print of the rules. You don't have to disqualify them. And this is the same organization that DQ'd Keith Poche for jumping a levee into legal water. That's what I'm going to dig into here with you guys, is that we've got these people that are making decisions for us that I don't think the majority of us want making decisions for us, because they're making bad ones, terrible ones. Like you shouldn't be disqualifying people for this stuff. Things like the Tucker Smith incident, disqualify him. That gives him an advantage in the tournament. And another rule that we're going to get back to that is gray area, but I feel like it's relevant to bring up in this whole advantage and everything, and people getting disqualified for breaking state laws, but things that are legal maybe with the tournament organization. Really weird one from last year. The Jacob Wheeler and I think it was Alton Jones Jr. incident, where they were using more than one rod to fish in Minnesota, but it was legal for the tournament organization. It was legal to do it under them, but also a lot of them say you're supposed to follow state laws. So they got technically an advantage, but they didn't get DQ'd. So more inconsistency for you. That was actually a different tournament organization. And then same tournament organization, the Jeff Sprague incident, then fines him for a clear advantage. So across the board, if you want to really look at it, and I'm going to bring up a third one here, MLF seems to be pretty lenient on the rules. If you haven't heard the most recent one, this one is mind-blowing. This is the biggest, I feel like, to me, this is one of the biggest stories, because a lot of other ones you have some like weird rulings and stuff. This is the craziest ruling of them all in terms of a slap on the wrist. And this is another MLF side of things. So I do feel like on the MLF side, they really like covering up rules violations, especially the owner, because he's right at the heart of this one. So before the Lake Guntersville event, you can imagine that when there's a off-limits period for a lake, that you're not supposed to be out there, and if you were out there, that would be grounds for disqualification, because that would be getting information, literally almost pre-fishing. Even if you were out, say, crappie fishing, then that would be a big deal. And that is exactly what happened. Boyd Duckett went out before the tournament started, during the off-limits, and was crappie fishing. Now, do we know he was using live scope? No. Was he probably using live scope? Absolutely. Do you think that a guy that is that wealthy in the fishing industry wasn't using live scope and graphs while he was crappie fishing? Do you think that he maybe saw some things that might have helped him in the tournament? Maybe brush piles, maybe just even the location of fish, because like you can literally use anything. And to reference this, let me finish that thought to let you know the ludicrous part. He fined himself 10 minutes fishing time. Wasn't disqualified, wasn't anything other than he lost 10 minutes of fishing time. Let me tell you, this goes way back. I don't even know if anybody watching this might remember this, but way back in the MLF early days, one of the anglers, and I want to say he got fined quite a bit of time, and he accidentally, I guess, had his graph on before they launched. I don't know if anybody remembers this. And he got docked some time, I believe, or he got fined some weight or something like that. I'm pretty sure they just held him back because it was kind of a mess up on scene. But that's what I mean. This guy went out like full on fishing. He didn't just have his graph on before he was supposed to have his graph on. he he was out there just looking around. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, so my solution to all this stuff, all this craziness that we've had in professional fishing, is that we need to actually like write the penalties out for these rules before the tournament, so that we know that being out on tournament waters before the tournament might actually be less of a penalty than buying a fishing license. So we'll be, oh, well, maybe we should like really prioritize buying that fishing license, which everybody does. But if we knew for sure that, like, you know, they were going to fine us 15 minutes for being out before the tournament, but if that fishing license wasn't in check, you know, or if they actually outlined where they didn't want you fishing, or if they didn't want you jumping levees, that they would actually disqualify you, be a big deal, or this, that, and the other. It's just these crazy, like, up to somebody else, I feel like, rulings, and I feel like we found out through history that electing people to make decisions for you isn't necessarily going to work. So I don't think that there's a panel that can be just voted on so that they can make all of our DQ decisions. I think it would be really beneficial if, instead of saying this, that, and the other or whatever are against the rules, find out what we're going to penalize you with after you break them. How about we actually, for these $100,000 tournaments, you know, $300,000 championships, things like that, have some really, really, really precise and intricate set of rules written out with penalties for everything, so that when somebody breaks one of these rules, then they know immediately when it's ruled on that they broke it or not. That's literally all the ruling is, that they get disqualified, they get penalized this much money, they get penalized that. If you don't buy a fishing license, you get penalized $100, or you get or you get turned in so they can write you a ticket. You don't get DQ'd from your $100,000 win because you forgot to buy a $50 fishing license. I don't know. It's craziness. Makes you really want to put all your time and money into something so you can get up there and possibly get DQ'd for something like that. Pitiful. Thanks for watching the video, guys.